What is going on, everyone? So today we've got a little bit of a different video. I'm surrounded by e-bike batteries right now, and we're going to discuss what the cold weather does to your e-bike battery. Maybe you've seen the short version of this already that I filmed the other night, but today we're going to go through quite a few more batteries, different style of batteries, and for example, being this one locks into the frame, and that's for the P20. This is for the M20. And this is a battery that would sit on the outside of the frame. Now, typically batteries like this, right, are probably your worst option for winter riding. And the reason being is because they lose between 30 to 40% of the capability of what the battery's range would be. So for example, I think with this bike, with the two batteries, it equals to 26 amps, and I can probably touch out about 100 miles. With the weight of me on the bike, plus my rack on the bike, camera gear, whatever else I'm carrying in the box. And it's quite good for the distance. But in the winter time, if I was to use this battery, I would damage the battery. So this wouldn't actually ever be a winter bike for me, because it's not the best option in power. So I would lose a lot more miles and range. And coming soon, we might go through the bikes and what I plan on using in that manner of speaking, from summer to winter, because it's how you should treat your bike. So if you know when you should ride what bike, it will probably last longer for you. With that being said, every single bike battery, right, has a certain cycle. Some of them could be up to 500 charges, 800 to 1,000, but anything over 1,000 isn't wise. Now, I'm not suggesting that you write down how many times you charge your battery, but if that was something that you did keep note of, it'd probably be a bit more of a beneficial situation for yourself. But in the long run, whenever you charge a battery, I tend to put them on the shelf here, and I'll only charge them through the daytime. I won't leave it overnight charging, because that's when it becomes a bit risky. Now, these batteries work best at, and by these batteries, I mean all of them. Every single bike battery will have the same capability once it has a good chemical reaction, and that depends on what's inside the cells. With that being said, the aluminum batteries work best at 15 degrees to 25 degrees. So in the summertime, you'll find that you'll get a better charge out of the battery, and when it's really cold, charging the battery, you're more than likely not going to make it to the full 100%. You don't want to charge it to 100%, because that's when the chemicals inside will be having a reaction as well, and it will make the battery stretch. Now, the more the battery will stretch, the less shape you would use to protect the cells, etc. It won't be waterproof no more. It will cause more damage to your bike battery. Typically, between a battery in this style that would lock into the bike frame, we lose from, and this is temperatures between 0 to -10, this would lose between 10 to 20% of power. Now, that tells me, because the bike frame is protecting the battery more, the cold air doesn't cause that much of an effect to the battery, which the cold air plays an effect as well. Bear in mind, if you're riding at 15.5, 25 kilometers, or if you're someone that's pushing a bit above that, the cold air is still going to play a strong effect on the bike. And I think you can always tell this from your fingers, no matter whether I'm wearing these gloves or these gloves, which are my new winter gloves. These ones are actually quite good because they're really thick. But if I was to be out in these, or the other versions that I have, my fingertips will be frozen. And that's from just me pedaling at 15.5. With that being said, could you imagine how the battery's reacting? So you always want to make sure this is warm. And in the comments of the clip that we put out, we was having a conversation about covers. But with that being said, you've always got to pick the correct cover, because with batteries like this now, if I take a cover that's not exactly waterproof, even though they claim it's waterproof, wrap it around the frame, and it collects all the water, the battery's going to be even colder than it would have been. So you're probably causing more damage, depending on what you are using. But with batteries like this, you can get waterproof covers, and they'll probably still feel the cold air and probably still lose some range, but not as much as 30 to 40%. So there is things that you can do to try and help you keep the bike in the right place. You always want to store batteries as well, at least to 15 degrees inside, so that it's in a warm place, especially if you're not going to use it like myself. I store these batteries in fire bags because obviously I'm not going to ride with this for the winter, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's fully charged. So I'm going to have to work out on how I get some juice out. I could probably just plug in a USB and drain some power out of the battery. But yeah, be careful what you do with your e-bike batteries. If you drop them or you drop the bike or you've been hit by a car, you should definitely have an expert take a look at your battery, just to make sure that it is safe and there isn't any damaged cells inside. And that's being said that if your battery has changed shape. If you're having issues with charging the battery, then that might be another problem as well. But the good thing about this battery, and the second one towards this battery, inside of the bike itself, the M20, it has a computer. So it allows the power from this one, when it's really drained, to transfer over to the other one, so that it's just one battery being used. But yeah, I guess that's the e-bike batteries. This one's quite big. So this is for the LE20. This is a 19.2 amp. Yeah, it is, yeah. And then we have other batteries like this, which if you're someone riding with one of these batteries, you should always be careful because you never know what's actually inside the battery. A lot of the time they will tell you it's Samsung cells, but bear in mind these are coming with knockoff bikes of another brand. Yeah, this is a 12.5 amp, 36 volt, and once again, fire bag, keep them in a safe, dry place. But as this would be on the outside of the frame, it's going to have that typical loss of 30 to 40%, whereas in this battery goes inside the frame, you know, it's anything from 10 to 20%. And I'll be honest with you, from riding these around in the cold weather recently, I don't really see much of the power losing as fast as I would do riding, say, with one of these batteries on the outside of the frame. Now, just remember, stay warm this winter. Hit the link in the bio if you need to check out any merchandise. Otherwise than that, if you want to purchase e-bikes, you're going to have to go over to Engwe. And believe me when I say batteries are expensive because they're quality, you know. Don't expect to buy a cheap battery, because if you're buying a cheap battery or you've bought a cheap battery, then you would already realize that it's going to have issues. So there's a reason why they have a higher price, because it's full of the good stuff. In other words, it's what's going to keep your bike going. So yeah, man, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. And as if I just said the battery's full of the good stuff, you know. But yeah, I'll catch you guys soon.